Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. We are back here with our soul expression psycho-spiritual counselor. It's Michael Bean. We're joining here again here from Berkeley, California. And Michael Timothy Bean, I should say. Middle name is important as well. Thank you so much for coming back, being here with us today and occupying space today. I think it's going to be a great show for a lot of our listeners and viewers. Also for those of you on the radio cast, we're on the Zoom cast as well. Michael, to start your website, soul-expression.com.
Correct. Yes.
Beautiful. Would you mind just introducing yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. Sure. Thank you. Yes, my name is Michael Timothy Bean, and I am a psycho-spiritual counselor who works with clients individually and couples on their real life stuff using symbolic sight and metaphorical representations of the things that are going on with them in an effort to help them go internally and to process whatever it is that might be getting in their way of fully expressing themselves in this 3D world, and to improve their place in space and existence for themselves. Yeah.
Beautiful. I know you have a very diverse background. There's a lot more to you. We got to know each other, in the past. And for new listeners out there, just want to also point out you offer energy healing work, right? Sight work,
yes.
Symbolic work, correct. Counseling, coaching. Also, you work a lot with couples, but also individuals. You do EFT. You do so much. There's a lot on your plate here that you can offer us, which makes you so versatile. And of course, even though you're located in California, you're here virtually and you can work with anyone around the world. And what did you have in mind for us today?
Great. So I woke up this morning to a comment on a social media ad that I ran. Ooh. That said that this is the work of Satan. And sounds like sorcery and witchcraft to me. And I got to thinking, no, this isn't the work of Satan.
Yeah.
Sorcery and witchcraft, perhaps a little bit. And let me qualify that. So what I mean by sorcery and witchcraft, like we were talking about in a previous interview with respect to spells and their intentions, right? Black magic and white magic, if you will, and energy work versus voodoo hexes and that kind of thing. I shared the story of how a voodoo spell was cast upon me and how I learned how to release it and had a profound experience as a result of it. And so with respect to this work, when I was getting trained, I called my school sorcery school. And it's an interesting use of the word, but the work is sorcery and witchcraft in the sense that tapping into the ethereal, tapping into the spiritual, tapping into the oneness, the messages that we receive intuitively from wherever they come, and then using them in service to others, right? Whereas the negative connotation of sorcery and witchcraft would be using them in service to self, right? In service to get some kind of gain at the expense of some other person. This work is sorcery and witchcraft, or wizardry, if you will, in service to the person who is seeking assistance. So it's not for my own good. It's for the good of my client. And they are skills that we employ that help one create magic in the world, right? Through vocal expression, through creation with your hands, through creative expression. And that's what I mean when I say sorcery and witchcraft. It's sourced from the oneness, the love, right?
Yeah.
And trying to help people come to the point where they can realize their true potential for themselves without the confusion, without the influence, without the judgment, opinions, and whatever else other people are throwing at them. And so, like we talked about last time with that objective detachment exercise, we clear out other people's energies because they can be considered a possessive force of some kind to get you free of the things that might be in your way because of fear related to other people's opinions, judgments, how you might be seen, and how that might have an impact upon you. And so the work is a lot about clearing out other people, helping you find more about yourself, and then encouraging my clients to go with that. Right. To let that be the thing that leads as opposed to the concern of judgment from others.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. That happens a lot of times with judgment and
Oh, absolutely. We're all susceptible to it. And
mm,
so the tools we use in session we begin with getting grounded, like I said before,
hmm
getting present in the moment, recognizing that this moment is our reality, and then working with it from a
Yep.
place of personal clarity, not confused by other people's judgment,
Yep.
not confused by possessive forces. And that's what I wanted to talk about today, is this idea of possessive forces and how they might get in the way of our full self-expression, right? Our
Yeah.
full soul's expression, if you will.
hmm
And so, yeah.
No, no. So exactly. Well, let's talk about it because how it does. I mean, what? See, how I express myself. Let me ask you this way: how I express myself, is it different from my soul expression? Do
Well, that
sometimes I
depends.
hide behind my inner thoughts and my inner? I think a lot of us do.
Right, sure. We put up our own filters to ease the things that we need to say or want to say, to perhaps
hmm
make it more palatable for somebody else to receive.
hmm
Diplomacy is all about that, figuring out what it is that the language of the other person that you're speaking with is, and by language is how they receive information, and what works for them. And so we take that information and we perhaps sugarcoat or change or not be as direct in an effort to be less impactful in a negative way, if we might fear their judgment and opinions and that kind of thing. And so
hmm
I consider that those things that we put up in front of us, those those things that land in us from whatever source, conditioning, traumatic experience, past life experience, whatever it might be, as a possessive force of some kind, right? And there are a variety of possessive forces. And what I mean by a possessive force is that energy that comes in that takes over.
Yeah.
It can be a heightened state of awareness and I'm sorry, it can be a heightened state of emotion,
Uh-huh.
right? Imagine yourself in a very heightened state of emotion, right?
It's
We
a
can
lot.
witness yourself seeing, you can see yourself, witness yourself in that moment, saying things, doing things, being in a specific way that is not truly expressive of who you are as a person. You're reacting in an emotional way that, you know, is true to form. You're releasing it, you're going through it,
Yes,
but
but
you might not be in total control of what you're saying, how you're saying it, and mindful of your presence in that moment, right? And that's an example of, say, a possessive force, some kind of heightened emotional state internally. Another one is from the ethereal. I'm a believer in spirits. I'm a believer in ghosts. I shared a story last week of
yeah.
how I cleared a house with ghosts, and the clients invited the ghost to stay, right?
You're like,
After I
what?
had a
You're like,
spirit
what
to
are
spirit
you doing?
communication.
Yes.
Right. We
hmm
talk about spirit guides, and that's an ethereal intelligence of some kind. And so when there are ethereal intelligences out there that don't have physical form, that are up to no good, right? As we
Interesting.
judge good or bad. And they can take over with permission. And this idea of permission is really interesting because it's indulging in things that are welcomed in your worldview, right?
Yeah.
So, say if you believe in spirits, if you believe in ghosts, if you have an awareness or experiences with them, they are
Yes.
present in your worldview, and therefore they exist for you. And um, then you can have experience with them, all right,
hmm
and communicate with them intuitively. Some people can even actually see ghosts in the 3D realm. I'm not one of them, but others can. And there are channelers out there who
You
channel the
can.
energy with those.
hmm
But the bottom line is these possessive forces come in, and with energy work and the kind of things that I can do, we can clear them, right? Depending, no matter what kind they are. If it's a heightened emotional state, if it's a force from externally, if it's some kind of archetypal energy like spider energy or snake
hmm
energy or something like that, those can be seen and dealt with and communicated with and delivered elsewhere. And an interesting thing that occurred to me in classes that I was taking, took a session with a Chinese medicine doctor, and the teaching there was possessive forces are just like any other living intelligent force, and they too need healing.
Wow.
And we offer those possessive forces the opportunity to be seen, named, heard,
And
and then healed, and then off for the door, be gone. And so, energy work can be inclusive of that kind of thing, right? In various movies and popular culture, the term exorcism comes to mind. That's connotated, that's connected to something negative, right? And again, I like to see these ethereal intelligences as ethereal intelligences that can be worked with, recognized, cleared in an effort to help one reveal their true self so that they can express themselves fully. Yeah.
Ooh.
So yeah, fun stuff. It's great stuff. And so wizard, sorcerer, witch, sure, but it's not about Satan. This work is from a place of love and connection. It's from a place of high integrity. It's from a place of truly desiring to be in service to others, not in service to self, right? We serve others in such a way that our own environment improves, right? And so in serving others, we get the opportunity to see our impact in a light way, in a way that's good in service. As long as we're working in service for others, this is not black magic, right? This is of help. And we're not doing this kind of work to make other people change, right? We're doing this kind of work to help ourselves grow, right? And what was I going to say? And I've had some experiences with these ethereal intelligences.
Can you share some? I mean, this is
absolutely
for someone who's never experienced it. I hear about, I believe in it. I believe everything you're saying. And and I have friends that actually can connect and all. I can't. So, I mean, this is awesome. I love hearing these stories. I wish I had your sixth sense. Maybe one day.
There was one particular experience that comes out to mind. A few years back when Arnold Schwarzenegger was, and this was before I had any of this training and I had an experience with an ethereal intelligence. A few years back when Arnold Schwarzenegger was the governor of California, he chose to remodel the 10th floor of a big hotel in downtown Sacramento, California, which is the state. And I was at a conference in Sacramento that particular time, and lo and behold, he remodeled half the floor and left the other half open to guests in the hotel. And I remember walking out of the elevator, checking into the hotel, having no idea that Arnold Schwarzenegger was there on the 10th floor in his, in his suite while he was the governor.
Wow.
And the Secret Service person attending to that particular floor, I walked out of the elevator. He goes, "Welcome to the 10th floor, Mr. Bean. We know all about you. This is the suite of Arnold Schwarzenegger, the governor." And I was like, "Holy smokes!" It was a strange surprise.
Yeah.
It was a 5-day long training course that I was participating in, and maybe about day 3, it was in the middle of the night. I woke up in this state of sleep paralysis. And I don't know if you know what that is.
I'm assuming you can't wake up, but
from a sleeping state, you suddenly have consciousness.
Okay.
But you can't move. Right. And I remember just moving my eyes and opening up and realizing I'm in a state of paralysis here. I can't move muscle. And I became keenly aware of a dark figure, hooded figure at the end of the bed that was malevolent. I felt the fear. I felt the malevolence. It was a dark hooded figure. And I was freaked out, unable to move in my bed in the state of sleep paralysis.
Wow.
And what I remember was feeling scared, but then at the same time feeling like, oh, I'm still in control here. And I remember opening my eyes like abruptly and closing them and opening them and wishing that thing to go. I said, "Be gone." And sure enough, it went. And that fear of dread and malevolence vanished. And so that was my first really discernible experience with possessive force. Right. Wow. And the message that person was, or that entity was sending was, we're watching you. We're the governor's spirit posse. We're on the lookout, and we're just checking you out to make sure you're not a threat. Right. Amazing. But it was a very malevolent force. And I'm not saying Arnold Schwarzenegger is a demon or anything like that. No. But there was that protective force out there, and I was subject to it. And it was a very interesting thing. And there have been others too, in classes. when we were learning about
Mm-hmm.
possessions, right? Suddenly, when you open your mind and eyes to the possibility of them, you begin to see them. And what I learned is that many people are possessed in all kinds of ways. It's not as
Wow.
uncommon as you think, and it's not as extreme as you might think. Again, it can be an emotional state of mind where you lose a little bit of your mindfulness or a lot of
Mm-hmm.
your mindfulness and react instead of responding. And again, coming back to the work that I do, this work is inclusive of recognizing that we have forces that sometimes take over our control of ourselves, and seeing them for what they are as a place to look and perhaps for something to learn from, and then naming it as something that is a possessive force, healing it using the stuff that we use in energy healing, and
Wow.
showing it the light, showing it the door, showing it the pathway, and inquiring about what the message is, right?
Yeah.
It's not uncommon for somebody who is having a spiritual awakening to come face to face with their demons,
Yeah.
and to come face to face with other kinds of messaging entities, like example, spider energy. I
Ooh.
remember waking up to a dream where I could completely be aware, I was completely aware of the figure of a spider
Uh-huh.
biting my belly on the left side, biting my belly on the left side. And I'm like, what is the message of this
Mm-hmm.
spider? Right? Freaked out, woke up. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And I had learned about possessions and spider energy and that kind of thing in
Okay.
class. And there it was. I was having this experience of a spider energy. Thought nothing of it. I asked myself, what could this mean? Knowing that that kind of energy is sending a message. And sure enough, maybe a month or so, I was diagnosed with a melanoma on my belly in that spot. And I made that connection. Holy smokes, there's something happening here that I needed to be concerned about. And I connected it after the fact,
But
but that bite that I got was the exact spot where I had the melanoma removed. And so, the connection was a little bit bizarre for me after the fact. I was curious in the moment, recognized that it was a spider energy, wondered what the message was. As soon
and
as I asked that question, it went away. And then the answer came. The answer came when the answer was right to come. And that speaks to this idea of integration of the messages that we get,
mm-hmm.
integration of the insights that we get through energy healing and other kinds of internal work, and the time that it takes to be ready for the new state of awareness after that work is done. So with energy work, with
It's
self-development, we put effort into the work, but the impacts come over time. They come over time when we're ready to receive that next level. And so it can't be rushed, right? We look for messages, we look for insights, we ask what
all the
might this
time.
mean, and
Mm-hmm.
then forget about it. Dismiss, detach and dismiss from it, and then let it come when it comes. That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it. It's going to come at some point, but the act of engaging with the question, the act of engaging with the inquiry, the act of being open to the intuitive hits is enough,
Yeah.
right? You receive, you accept, you put something into action as a result of the receiving and the action, or
And
and the accepting, and then drop it, let it go. Let it go, like you were saying, that
let it
about
go. Yeah. Frozen.
let it go. I don't want to sing. I have a terrible voice.
So do I, but it's funny. Just as I just this just maybe off track for a sec, but we have a sec. Like there's in my home, I have two little closets in my bedroom, not walk-in closets, but two little closets which are packed in a mess. Anyway, since I moved in, not since I moved in, because my mom passed here in my house. This light flickers in my closet, and it's almost every
Mm,
day, not all the time. The other day, the other closet started blinking. And so then I
mm.
got goosebumps now. I'm like, is this you trying to talk to me? And I'm trying to have a conversation. I'm like, if it is, I'm trying to rationalize my mind. I said, okay, blink. Okay, so every time you flash, maybe let's go through the alphabet together, mom. You're trying to spell something out. So it blinks 11 times. And I'm like, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. K. Okay,
Oh,
go to the next one. And it's like 8. And so I'm thinking she's trying to spell me something and it doesn't work. But am I looking too deep into the signs, or sometimes maybe this will make sense in the future?
yeah, good point. Probably both. You
Or
know,
am I
in the
just
moment,
crazy and it's just I need
yeah,
an
no,
electrician to
you're not.
fix my light? It doesn't make
Yeah.
sense.
Well, yeah. So all kinds of possible real world answers, right? Yeah, maybe you just need to screw in the light bulb a little bit more
Hmm.
and it'll stop.
No, now
Right?
it's the other one too. So no,
Now it's the other.
no.
Okay, so then something you might be disrupting the electromagnetic field with your own bioelectric energy there.
Wow.
So when you're in those closets and doing and checking out that light and it's freaking out on you, can you go back and and ask yourself, what state of emotion am I in? Am I in a heightened state of emotion at this time? Am I disrupted in any way, or am I calm and peaceful? How were you when you were in those closets looking at those lights?
Well, the first just 2 weeks ago, I tried cleaning out a closet. So I was a little stressed out. My kids were home and the closet's so packed. That's the new closet that started blinking on me. But I
Yeah,
felt good because same with my mom, we used to organize and clean, and I haven't had time to do the closet. So I felt relief of doing it. But the stress of all the stuff everywhere brought it on. And then the other
yeah,
closet that blinks all the time randomly, I'm in there stressed or not stressed. It doesn't matter. It's where like my dress clothes are. Not that I dress up much, but yeah, I'm in there almost every day getting a shirt or something. So yeah, there's no real no. I'm in all different states in the
yeah.
other closet. Yeah, so but I
It
have to
sounded like
be.
sounds like you weren't completely grounded and present and calm in the moment, taking
Yeah,
each second as it comes and accepting it for what it is. There are probably some other energies in there. We are bioelectric people, you know, our nerves and our nervous system are electrical
yeah,
conduits for electrical signals, and that radiates outward.
yeah.
And it's not uncommon for electrical equipment to go crazy in the presence of somebody who's in a heightened state.
Okay,
Yeah,
interesting.
I had this experience, Cape May, New Jersey, riding the bike around late at night one time, and you know, in the thick of coming to terms with what I was learning at that time, and 7 times I counted going under these street lamps. They would go out when I went
Sorry.
under it,
Mm-hmm.
and then as I exited the lit up zone of, or what would have been the lit up zone of that street lamp, it went on again. And it happened 7 times in a row as I went from corner to corner. The lights going out as I got there, and then coming on as I rode out. And so I'm a believer that we can affect the
Sorry, I had to
electromagnetic.
sneeze. Okay,
Oh yeah, no
good.
worries.
Oh my gosh.
Sneezes
Now
are
I got to
releases of
sneeze.
energy
Uh-oh.
that are needed.
Isn't that funny? I'm like, why do I have to sneeze? Gotta hold it in. I
You
can't
sneezed
sneeze
out of
on it.
possessive force.
Good. It's in the tissue. I caught
There you
it.
go. Honor it, see it for what it is, and detach and dismiss from it.
Good.
Anyway, so
Sorry.
yeah,
Back to our other
not
conversation.
uncommon
Thank you.
for
Thank you.
electromagnetic disturbances to
Mm-hmm.
occur when people are in that kind of heightened possessed state.
Yeah.
You know, and I was fully possessed with the curiosity of what was happening with me at
Happening to
that time that I was
you
riding the
and
bike.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Sorry to digress. Yeah, that was on. I
Oh, it's all
forgot where we
good. It's
were. But this
not
is
a
what happens.
digression at all.
Thank you. We were on the conversation. Back to where we
Absolutely.
were.
Yeah. So the idea of permission,
Allowing,
right?
giving.
Possessive
Mm-hmm.
forces require permission,
Permission. What is that?
and
Mm-hmm.
permission comes in a variety of forms,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like we talked about with the objective detachment we did the last week in that person that you were detaching from.
Uh-huh.
The fact that you think of somebody and bring them into your space, metaphorically, energetically, is permission to engage with them, right? And so like this person who commented on my my Facebook ad
Mm-hmm.
that I posted, they mentioned Satan. Satan is a part of that person's world, right? It was
And
named.
now they just
And
brought
then
that
so
into your space.
it comes into existence, into the space. It came into
Uh-huh.
my,
Getting it.
and I
Mm-hmm.
got to thinking, wait a minute, no, be gone, Satan. You are not welcome here, right? This is not about that. However, the witchcraft and sorcery idea, yeah, sure, somewhat, but in service to others, not in service to self. And so
Mm-hmm.
it got me thinking about this idea of permission and the various levels of it, and what kinds of permission we offer, and how it can, invite other people's energy, invasive forces, possessive energies, things that get in the way of your full self and soul expression. And so other kinds of permission, naming something is permission. When we give
Mm-hmm.
it a name, when we name it with a qualifier like
Yeah.
good, bad, evil,
Mm-hmm.
saintly, whatever it might be, we bring that energy in too. So just by thinking about somebody, just by naming something, just by recognizing or even reading it, those are all examples of a permissive state where we can invite those kinds of energies in.
And
And so what's the opposite of that? How do we keep them out? Well, set yourself up in a way that those things just don't exist in your world. Process the energy, invite it out, and go for the amount of time that you can without it in your life, right?
yeah,
As opposed to something that sticks with you. And so that's where energy work comes in. We clear out the energies in your energy centers. We clear out the influences of other people with their various tools and techniques. And we give you a reprieve of the things that we permit in our lives that could be disruptive, right?
yeah.
Social media,
Hmm.
right? Endless news feeds, all those things that get us thinking about other things out in the world, the evils of the world, and can cause us stress. Um, and so that led me to thinking about, well, what about social justice? What about fighting evil? What about doing good in the world? What about
Hmm.
engaging in the battle against evil, or the righting the wrongs of society,
Yep.
etc. And so where I landed with that and doing some meditation on it was that we each have our own experience. We each invite our own possessions to come and inhabit us. We each have the opportunity to clear those, and we each have the opportunity to become fully self-aware and self-present and present in this moment, to then share what it is our natural gifts are out in the world in service to others, be that one-on-one
Yep.
or effectual with a group or as a leader or in whatever role. And so it speaks to this idea of choice, choosing your path, choosing how you're going to serve. Am I going to serve
Amazing.
a group of people out in the world that could benefit from what I'm sharing? Or am
Hmm.
I going to serve my partner in relationship, right? When we've had a fight, so there's this idea of service, and possessive forces comes in and out of all of the work that we do for ourselves and with other people. And this clearing energy and seeking to understand and seeking to be present with others in a peaceful, truthful, present, and mindful way, that opens us to being even of more service, right? Without resistance.
Yeah.
This idea of resistance comes in. We resist evil. We resist this. We resist that. The act of resistance is something that brings us to that present moment of accepting that thing that we're resisting. There's that saying, what we resist persists, right?
Yeah.
And
I never heard of that.
and
I
it's
like
true.
that. Yeah.
It's true. It's a phrase that I've heard quite a bit. What we resist persists. And you can think of that thing that we resist as a possessive force. And you can look at it and name it. I am resisting this. It's a possessive force. It's in the shape of a spider. It bit me. I'm not
And,
going to resist it anymore.
and there it
I'm going to
is.
look
Look,
for the message,
and you
say
got
hi
it.
to detach from it. Thank you for your showing me. And what this means, I don't know yet, but it's going to come. I trust that. And sure enough, it did in that example with the spider. So I can guide people through that process of clearing their possessive forces, helping them understand what the messages are, if there are any, and having them do something like we had said before for themselves that isn't necessarily connected to the 3D world, but can be applied to it in terms
Hmm.
of message received and message understood and integrated of, material integrated or information integrated and that kind of thing. Yeah,
Got it.
it's
Thank
awesome.
you. It
Yeah.
is. And we're just about out of time. We are. Oh my
Wow.
goodness. How does that happen?
Time
Well,
flies.
it does. Let's remind everyone how we could reach out to you. If you don't
Yes, thank
mind, give
you.
us your contact information.
Yeah, Michael Timothy Bean,
Hmm.
soul-expression.com. That little dash or hyphen in the middle of the soul and expression is important. 510-606-8118
Hmm.
is the phone number that you can text or call. And my website, soulexpression.com.
Perfect.
Please have a look, reach out, take a look at my content, and would love to hear from you.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Looking forward to the next time we get to talk. And again, to all of our listeners and viewers, thank you for being here today. And I guess, are we back in touch next week? No
Yes, we
hiatus,
are.
no holiday, right? Not yet.
All right.
All right. We'll see you then next Friday. Have a great
See you then.
day.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.